Okay, what is up? Good evening, everybody. I am probably talking to the abyss to nobody, but this is really good practice for me. So I have a relatively new setup. As you can see from the screen, I taught myself a little bit on Streamlabs, which is a wonderful thing. So I'm hoping everything is coming across good. It looks good to me on my end. Got a new webcam. I don't even think I've taken the sticker off of it, but nothing big, just a little like $40 webcam. But I wanted to take a shot at streaming because making videos has been, I have been majorly delayed on being able to make videos, as I've already stated in my last live. So if you are joining me, whether it's live or later, if you're watching the replay, welcome. Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Shay. I am a recovered drug addict with 22 years of drug abuse. 19 of those years was IV heroin use. And I have 6 years clean. I have been clean since October 10th of 2016. My channel is about my attempt to show people that you can get clean. You can recover, you can stop the drug abuse, but it's not going to be easy. So I'm very transparent about the ups and downs of my life, of what I've been going through. In my last stream, I touched on all of the things that have been going on. You know, I have YouTube Premium, and this thing still manages to show ads. Like, I don't know. YouTube just be on some other stuff, but, I'm sorry. I have a little bit of ADD and I kind of go everywhere. So, back to where I was. On my last live stream, I talked a little bit about all the health problems that I was having. So, that's kind of, you know, I just like to show... I don't know, let me start over, because I completely lost my train of thought, and I don't even know why I'm trying to recover it like I'm smooth or something, because I am not smooth in the least little bit. And I haven't eaten all day, and I have the oven on, and I'm going to heat up some jalapeno poppers, and I'm eating carrots in the meantime. So, just like my last live, I'm going to multitask, because I am a glutton for punishment, and I try to take on a lot of responsibilities at once, and I have a hard time juggling them all, and that's just the reality of life. That is what I go through. Yes, I may be clean. Yes, I may be off the drugs, but the problems don't go away. There is a whole other new set of problems that come right along with it, and this is my transparency. This is why I do this, because I really want to be transparent. I really want to show the reality of drug abuse, recovery after drug abuse, and I don't want anybody that's thinking about recovering to be delusional and to think that it's going to be all peaches and cream, because it's not. It's not all going to be peaches and cream. There's going to be problems. There's going to be issues. And you have to mentally prepare for what's going to be ahead of you, you know? One of those things, guys, is eating on stream while you're trying to be transparent, but I really needed to eat something. Okay. So, today, I mean, it takes forever to eat a carrot. Okay, so today, I literally just got off of work not too long ago. I decided to test out the webcam that I picked up a few weeks ago. Teach myself how to set up live stream and themes and transitions and all the stuff that you got to do in Streamlabs in order to live stream. I know I'm a little behind, but I'm a boomer. What can I say? I'm in my 40s. It takes me a while to learn all this new tech, but I am definitely having fun with it. It is super cool. I'm liking it. I like the purple. I wish I could change the purple. But maybe, just maybe, I may be able to invest a little bit more money eventually, maybe, and go to some of the ultra themes, be able to get a theme that I can edit and customize specifically for my uses. But in order for me to do that, there's got to be interest. There's got to be more people that are going to be interested in what it is in my niche that I'm trying to do right now. Look, like I stated in my last live, I don't do this for money at all. I spend a lot of money, and I have spent a great deal of money on this YouTube channel since I started it a couple of years ago. But that's okay, because I thoroughly enjoy the YouTube channel. I'm happy to do it. It helps me get an outlet. It helps me stay connected to the fact that, hey, I abused drugs for so long, and even though I have some clean time, I can't forget that. This is definitely a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. So this YouTube channel kind of helps me stay connected, because I don't do AA. I don't do NA. That's just not what has helped me. I found rational recovery that helps me because, in my opinion, the morals and principles that go along with rational recovery, it matches and fits right along with the Christian values that I have. Those of you who don't know, I belong to a non-denominational Christian church. So to me, that's what Christianity is really is supposed to be meant to be. It's not the religion that man has made up. It's, yes, I read from the Bible, and yes, I follow the Bible, but not to a T. Not everything in there is very clear. And I've come to accept that just because I don't understand everything that's in the Bible, that's okay. It may not be meant for me to understand right away. I'm going to have questions, and that's okay. It's not meant for me to know right away. But what I do know, without a shadow of a doubt, is that there's a God up there. And there's a God up there that has kept me. There is a God up there that I am going to spend the rest of my spiritual life with once this physical body dies. This physical body will die and it will go back to the ground. But I firmly believe that the spirit within me will be able, by the grace of God, to live with God in his heaven and his glory forever and ever. And I believe God is real because I've had my own personal interactions with God. And for me to have the life that I have, there's got to be a God, because logic does not always make sense here. I can think logically, and I can see where logic has its place, but to me, Christianity goes outside of logic. It fills in the gap where logic and knowledge can't achieve. And I don't know. To me, rational recovery kind of goes along with it. And even if you don't believe in all of that, the Bible is pretty much basic instructions before you leave Earth, right? It teaches you how to be a good person. Bottom line. You don't have to believe all the stories and all, you don't even have to believe all of that. But at the very least, it can teach you that, how to be a good person. Ultimately, it can just teach you how to be a good person. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, guys, give me about 1 second. I don't think there's any viewers in here yet, but that is okay. I am going to stick my dinner in the oven. I'll be right back. dinner is in the oven. I am ready to go. So I very quickly went on YouTube and did a search about starting life over after recovery. And there's not a whole lot of videos about that. I guess there's just not a whole lot of interest on YouTube for people that actually recover from drugs and have a life afterwards. It's just not really shown, which is, again, why I do this. And maybe nobody is ever interested, and that's okay. I will talk to the abyss as long as I need to, even if there's one person that can benefit from this type of information or benefit from just seeing what it is that I go through, then it's all worth it in my opinion. So let's take a look. Let me get this set up. I've had the background going. Let me get... This is what I really wanted to see. I am a huge fan of Joe Rogan, right? Love me some Joe Rogan. And I'm interested to see... I know this clip is like 4 years ago, but I'm interested to see what it is that he's talking about here. So if it can hurry up and load.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
You know?
Yeah.
And I've always admired that you figured out when we were really young. I mean, when I met you, you quit. And, you know, we were both in our early 20s.
Yeah.
And you were like, fuck this.
Right.
I'm not going down that road. And you didn't need anything. You didn't need Alcoholics Anonymous. You're like, no, I'm not doing it.
I did some therapy. That helped. I just needed to realize that once I realized that, and I had gone to Al-Anon because of my dad, adult child of alcoholic meetings, which helped me a phenomenal amount just to realize that that it's a disease and that, you know, you're powerless to it. And
quit.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
you know, we were both quit.
Oh.
And
I meant to hit pause, but instead it rewinded back. So we're going to watch that part again. But this is where recovery is different for every person, right? I think Al-Anon and AA and NA, I believe it has its place for those that helps. It has a very low success rate, but I have seen personally in my own personal life where there are people that have gone through AA and NA program and continue to stick with it and have decades clean. And I thoroughly applaud those people. If that's what works for you, then hallelujah, praise Jesus, thank you, Lord, that you're no longer abusing drugs. That's how I see it, right? For me personally, AA and NA didn't help me. During my 22 years of drug abuse, I have been in and out of rehab. I had periodic times of being clean. There, you know, I was abusing drugs more than I wasn't abusing drugs. Let's put it that way. But there was brief periods of time where I got clean, and I utilized the 12-step programs like AA and NA. And for me personally, I found that they fueled my addiction. More often than not, and I promise you, I probably have been to at least 100 different AA and NA meetings, all over the DC metropolitan area, because that's where I'm from, and that's where I abuse my drugs, right? So all over the area, all over different counties, Virginia, Maryland, DC, doesn't matter. I've been through at least 100 of these meetings, right? And every time I left a meeting, I always felt like using. I don't think I ever had that warm and fuzzy feeling like walking into, you know, for example, walking into a meeting, like feeling like you want to use or kind of maybe on the ledge or I kind of have to do this. And by the time I walked out, I really wanted to abuse drugs. I really didn't want to go back to whatever program I was in, or if I wasn't in a program and I was going to a meeting just to go to a meeting, 9 times out of 10, I was going to cop right after that meeting. I cannot remember not one of those meetings, out of 100, mind you, around about 100, where I had that warm and fuzzy feeling where I felt better, I felt good, I felt like I had a community. It just didn't happen for me. And again, I've seen personally where it did happen for others, but for me personally, it never quite happened. So it's just not something that helped me. But whoever this individual is that Joe Rogan is interviewing, it helped him, and that's a wonderful thing. So let's see what what helped him. Well, let's see what his story is about, is what I'm trying to say.
And, we were both in our early 20s.
Yeah.
And you were like, fuck this.
Right.
I'm not going down that road. And you didn't need anything. You didn't need Alcoholics Anonymous. You're like, no, I'm not doing it.
I did some therapy that helped. I just needed to realize that once I realized that, and I had gone to Al-Anon because of my dad, adult child of alcoholic meetings, which helped me a phenomenal amount just to...
That's the other point I wanted to get to, and I forgot he said that because, again, I went off on my own tangent like I do. I have an alcoholic father. I didn't grow up with my alcoholic father, but I did have an alcoholic father. And he made enough impression in the first 4 or 5 years of my life that it stuck throughout my childhood. And I understood, even at that early age, that my father was an alcoholic. My very first sip of beer, I had to have been 3 or 4 because, and it had to have been that age, and I don't remember the exact age, because my mother didn't come and get us and move us in with her new husband until I was 4 or 5. So I had to have been younger than 4 or 5. So I'm kind of guessing with 2 or 3. But it was at that age when I remember going to the garage, and we had a refrigerator in the garage, and that's where my dad would keep his beer. Pabst Blue Ribbon, right? And I would go, he would ask me, I need another beer, sweetheart. So I would go into the garage, I would go into the refrigerator, I would pick out the coldest Pabst Blue Ribbon that I could find, and I would bring it back to my dad, whether he was in the house, on the grill, outside, whatever it was, right? And he must have been feeling nice at that time, and he gave me a sip of that beer. That was my very first taste, was at that young. I was younger than 4 or 5 when that happened. And that sticks with you. When you introduce that to young kids who's impressionable, who's still growing, whose brain hasn't developed yet, that makes a huge difference. Okay, so my oven is beeping. I gotta flip my food. I'm not even gonna put the be right back thing back on. Actually, I am. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, we're gonna pick up where we left off. Okay, that was quick. I know. I gotta do a source for music. Again, this is why I am live streaming right now, so that I can get all of these transitions down pat. I really gotta make sure I got music as my source for this scene. Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay, so I still have about 7 more minutes before the oven beeps again. So let's see what these guys got to say.
Realize that that it's a disease, and that you're powerless to it, and that for me, I was able to apply what I learned in there because I went to a couple AA meetings, and in Boston.
Okay. I know I keep stopping this every other second, but it drives me crazy that people still think, and I know this clip was from 4 years ago, but I think I want to look this guy up. If I can figure out what his name is, I want to look this guy up. And I truly want to see if this guy is picked up again. But he looks healthy. He looks cool. I'm sure he's giving very good information, except for that disease part. I do not agree that addiction or alcoholism or anything like that is a disease. Hands down. I feel like that is an excuse that man has made up. And I have very strong feelings about this because I have went through it. Addiction and alcoholism has, I'm like right there in the microphone. Addiction and alcoholism is directly related to a spiritual warfare. This is a spiritual battle. This is up here in your mind, right? That's purely what it is. Now, is there physical aspects to it? Absolutely. But when you first start picking up, that's all because there's something going on up here. There's trauma. There's a battle. It's not like, oh, I was born with a disease and I'm always going to be an alcoholic or an addict. So that's just what it is. I have an excuse to keep on abusing drugs or abusing alcohol. No. Absolutely not. To me, when I think of a disease, I think of something that I have to take medication for. There's not a pill that can take away addiction. There's pharmaceuticals out there that can help with cravings, that type of thing, but there is not a pill or anything that the medical community can do to take away alcoholism or addiction. I tried all sorts of things in order for me to recover, and it wasn't until I changed my mindset. And following that, I changed my spirit, working on myself, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is why we have that now in addiction recovery. That is what worked. And I don't see how changing your mindset, working on yourself, and actively doing what you know is what is the next right thing to do is a disease. I just don't see it. Anybody that disagrees with me, I fully encourage you to please convince me otherwise. I have yet to hear an argument to convince me that it is a disease. Okay, let's see what else he has got to say, right?
It was like, guys would get up and they were like, and then I blew a guy for a sandwich and I passed out the fucking dump. And they, it's like, I couldn't relate. I mean, my thing was like, I fucked a fat chick. That was my bottom. I had a three-way with a couple girls who were, as fat as John Panette. And so I could, but I read the literature of the 12 steps, and it helped me because it made me realize that when I wanted a drink, something was going on.
Yeah.
And to this day, I just have that reaction. I know that I still want to drink all the time, but when I really want to drink, I stop and I go, all right, what's stressing you out? What do you need to deal with? And then I just kind of focus on it.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I don't see how that's a disease. On one hand, he's talking about, oh, I have the disease of alcoholism. No, you don't, buddy. You needed to rethink and relearn some things. You had to learn when you were going through something not to just immediately turn to the alcohol in this gentleman's case, right? He had to learn to redirect his mindset, redirect his thinking, and learn better skills in order to deal with those negative emotions. So how, guys, is that a disease? I don't get it. It doesn't compute. Make it compute. Make it make sense.
Yeah, there was when I was a kid, my dad was an architect, and so I worked on a lot of construction sites, and I met a lot of junkies. A lot of people on construction sites are either alcoholics or drug addicts.
I have to stop Joe Rogan here, and I can confirm that. I work in construction, right? I work in the construction industry, and there really is a lot of addiction that runs rampant on job sites and in construction in particular. I do part of the hiring where I'm at for our field staff, and the stories and the things that I have seen with just some of the staff that we've had. I've seen somebody who was a convicted felon. He was a convicted murderer. Turn his life around, right? But I've also seen somebody who had no convictions at all, and just spiraled on downwards. I've also seen gentlemen who just bounce from construction company to construction company to construction company and do whatever he can to rip people off for copper and sell the copper in order to abuse drugs, and still continue to abuse drugs. There's all sorts of different types of addicts in the construction field. And especially if you're in construction day in and day out, year after year after year, you will probably be exposed to all of it. So between that and my 22 years of drug abuse and being homeless and being around those type of people, I don't think there's a situation that I haven't seen. I would be surprised to see it. On that note, as you all can hear, my dinner is beeping at me, so let me take it out of the oven so it can cool off. I'll be right back. Okay, thanks y'all for being so patient. Let's pick up where Joe was talking about there. He's seen all different types of drug addicts on construction sites.
And there was this one guy that I really liked. He's a funny guy, man. Really funny guy, and he's in a band. His name is Robbie. Funny fucking dude. Loved hanging around with him. But just couldn't stay off the coke.
Wow.
Couldn't stay off the coke.
Yeah.
And you could totally tell he'd be honest about it too. Say how he went off the rails, and we would be working together. He was a carpenter and I was, like a laborer, so I was like an apprentice. And so he'd be, talking to me while he's explaining to me how to do things and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I'm just fucking tired of this. I'm getting my shit together. The band's getting back together again. We're writing songs and this and that. And then he'd come in Monday looking like shit.
I have to laugh, right? I have to laugh because so many times I've said some of the same things, and so many times I've heard other people say this, right? I mean, I think we all go through this. When you're in your addiction, we all go through this. Every last one of us. When we're feeling good and we're feeling high and we're like, yes, we're really going to turn our life around. And I'm telling you, especially when I was at my highest, I would feel that way in the moment, and I would truly mean it. No doubt. I meant it at that moment, at that time, and probably even a couple hours later. Right. But then as the day goes on, and you are faced with whatever it is that's driving you to keep using, whether you're lonely or you have physical pain, right? Or you have trauma that you haven't quite dealt with. You have anxiety, you have depression. Whatever it is that's fueling your addiction, you're going to be faced with that when you're alone at night with your thoughts. And that's when you want to pick up again. And then you come back in on Monday and you have shame, right? You're facing all those people who you just said, man, I'm going to get my life together. And then you mess up doing it. And the shame is tremendous. And it's hard for you to face those people because shame and guilt is associated with just facing these people. And guess what happens when you're inundated with shame and guilt? You're gonna pick up and you're gonna use again. So it is just an ongoing cycle. Okay, let's see what else he's got to say. Come on, Joe, talk to us.
Just looking like shit, real grumpy, didn't want to talk, had a headache.
Yeah.
And, and he'd admit it, went off the rails.
Right. The saddest thing is that when you first start doing drugs, and I don't know about you, but I had a phenomenal time doing cocaine. Mushrooms and all the stuff I did as a teenager was like, I never got hooked on it. And if you do it, maybe I did coke 50 times without ever getting hooked, it's a blast. That's the best kept secret. But then once you get hooked, you're not even having fun anymore. You're just maintaining. You're just feeding it so you don't crash. With heroin, you're just trying to avoid withdrawals. You're not even feeling that great anymore.
That's
I
absolutely
think with
true.
Robbie too, part of the problem was he was very disappointed in himself.
Yeah.
It was booze too. He would just go off the rails and try to keep it together. It's like there's a lot of people out there that they have a dream, and then the pressure of trying to reach that dream, like his dream is to be in a successful band, right? And the pressure of trying to reach that dream and see it to fruition, it just seems unreachable.
Yeah.
It seems too far off. And here you are, you're in your 30s, and you're working in a construction job, and you fucking work all day in Boston in the winter. You're tired as shit when you get home. You don't want to go to band practice.
Yeah.
That's
You
so
get home
true.
at 6:30. You have dinner, and now it's 7:30. You got to get up.
Right.
You got to get up in a few hours.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? When are you going to bed? You got to get up at 6. Like,
Then you go to
fuck.
band practice and the drummer doesn't show up, so
Right.
you can't practice. Or
He's 45 minutes late. His car breaks down, and you're fucking pissed, and your girlfriend's screaming at you.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Then try to have a relationship on top of that. Tell
Yeah.
that girl you can't go out on Saturday night ever because you're doing gigs.
And then the gigs suck, and you're not making any money, and they're like, you should get a job. The gigs suck. You should get a job.
Yeah. And then you're in a band, so girls are throwing themselves at you. Have an affair. She's got some coke.
Now it's good. Now the story turned around.
Turned it around.
Now it's exciting again.
Born to be wild.
Dum, dum, dum.
Sometimes when I work at casino, there'll always be that band in the lounge just playing like Born to Be Wild and
Yeah.
all those songs. And like, you'll see people that are like 57 dancing and you see them and they're dancing and it's like they're just reliving the only joy they had in their life, which was like when they were
I'm
young,
43.
dancing to rock. And this band is fucking, they're gods to them.
Yeah, the time when you're young, when you're having fun, is so fleeting.
Yeah.
It is 100%.
Then all of a sudden responsibilities stack up.
Oh, God,
And all of a sudden,
yes.
you have to pay bills.
Yeah.
You have obligations.
Yeah.
You have so much that you have to think about.
Yeah.
For so many people, there's this period of their life where they look back to whimsically. Like, that was the time when I was free.
Yeah.
I was young and my dick got hard all the time.
I don't know what that is.
I could go 2 or 3 times.
3 times in a night. You're like,
Shit.
wild, man. I can't believe it.
And you think anything is possible. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really
Anything can happen.
that's the loss of innocence, is when you realize at a certain point that you do have to pick a path and stay on it,
Oh, yeah. You better.
because you got to pay the bills with it. And and then what's so sad is you see people that work so fucking hard for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And bills just add up, and then they save just enough when they get their vacation twice a year. They'll go to like a cruise and they'll just drink nonstop for a week. And at the
Yeah.
end of it, they're just hungover. They blew the excess money they had, and that was it. That's what you worked all year for.
I had a friend of mine who worked in a restaurant, and one of the guys who worked with saved up his money for 8 years. Went to Vegas and blew it in one day.
Can you imagine? I would be so mad. Oh, no.
God.
It was the
I would
most
be
heartbreaking
fighting. I would
story.
be fighting.
This poor guy,
Yeah.
I think he was a dishwasher, and he worked there for 8 years.
Yeah.
Like, set aside 50 here, 25 there. Set aside for 8 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I think it was some good amount of money, like $30,000.
Shit.
Went there with a plan. This is it, baby. I'm good at blackjack, or whatever the fuck he played.
He read a book.
A lot of guys read books.
expecting. That's what I get for not watching stuff before live streaming, but you know, whatever. Again, guys, I just want to thank you. I really wanted to just test out my stuff, test out my setup while I had a few minutes. I do have to wake up early in the morning. I got work at 5 a.m. That's what time I end up leaving the house to go to work. I'm going to eat my dinner. So basically at this time, it is dinner, take a shower, relax a little bit, and go to bed and do it all over again. So if you guys are, I don't think anybody joined me live. I don't see anybody in the chat, but if you're watching this on the playback, thank you for joining me. If you know anybody that thinks that can benefit from the information that I provide on my channel and any of my videos or my live stream, please feel free to forward it. I need your guys' help to get my channel through the algorithm, because YouTube does not like positive messages, in my opinion. So please pass this along to anybody who you think can use some encouragement to recover and stop their alcohol and drug abuse, because I definitely do have a different take on recovery. In the meantime, guys, don't forget to be the change in the world that you want to see, and I hope